Hi, I'm Daniel Metler from 2SEC Internet Solutions, and I'd really like to explain a few things about content types because they're very essential information and knowledge that you'll need to create really sexy websites and that are really great for your user to edit. So let's just get started. The agenda today is just first of all, I'd like to explain what a content type is. Then I'd like to also pack in a little bit why it's so important to make them really well. And then we'll just do a live session together creating a content type. So just to get started, I've prepared a few samples of content types. This is a website we just made, and I'd just like to show you a few different content types we have. For example, on this section here, we have an image rotator. And this, of course, needs a different content type. You'll see it has some, let's just freeze that for a second. You have some text here, you have a little like a quote line. And if we edit this, you'll notice that the fields you see here are adapted just for this need. So this is the title, the blue stuff. This is a positioning where it's supposed to go. It has an effect on the CSS and everything. And this is just a little extra small line. Plus, of course, the picture. This is the content type for this. If we look at another example, here we just have a text and a title and a picture. It could also have a picture, so the content type will be very similar. Another example, of course, is a contact information. Let me just refresh this so we're logged on. And you'll notice, of course, this one needs more fields. So if I have something like a profile of a person, we need way more fields than just for a simple content. And there are other scenarios that need very few fields. Now, the reason why planning this is so important is because your editor will choose things like, I would like to add a person, or I would like to add a picture, or a gallery, or a link to something else. For example, here you'll notice we also have videos, for example, and videos again have a different content type just because we have other fields, like we need to give them the Facebook link code so it integrates the video properly. And what you want to prevent is creating one content type with all the possible fields you may need, because then the editor will never know what he should fill in and what can be omitted. So planning a good content type is crucial for creating a really great website. Here another example, something we made for a customer. It's just going live right now. Something like this may look very simple. In the background we have lots and lots of metadata, just specifically for Google, for Twitter, for Facebook. So it needs a lot of fields that the user will never see. And the editor only needs these fields on the first entry, on the header kind of, whereas other things that have more like design aspects don't need all those fields. These are much simpler. Here, a box for adding an author. Again, very different fields, very important to plan this well. So that's just a short explanation of what it is. It's more or less a set of fields that we use for creating something that we want to present, and it's very important that you plan this really well. More or less, it's the fields to describe just about anything you see on this list, and it's important to not mix these things. So if I want to describe my product, I may want a product number, I may want to have a price, I may want to have a bunch of things. If I want to describe an image, I want some things. If I want to describe a simple thing, just a title and text, then that's okay too. And here's one thing that will probably save a lot of projects if you just follow this one rule. It's better to make a content type more than to reuse the same content type and keep on extending it. So what do I mean? A lot of people start like with a basic content, a title and a body. And then they think I need a date for my news, but I can leave it empty on these scenarios and I'll just fill it in here. And then they'll think, okay, but if I already have a date and a title, then maybe I also have scenarios where I need a link, and they'll add a link for some other templates. And then later on, they'll add a picture, and sometimes they may need a second picture, so they'll add another picture, and that makes it extremely confusing. So if you make a content type which is for news, make it for news. Make one for videos, make one for people information, because then whenever you want to extend the video section, you're not extending the news section at the same time, just the videos. Okay? Just keep that in mind. May not make sense now, but you'll learn to love that. Okay, so we already looked at the live examples, and let's just create something together now. I've prepared this here. And what I'm going to do now is actually just together with you, I'm going to create a content type. And you'll notice this is the very simple installation. All we have so far is the basic content type, and that's not what we want. So in the scenario that we're going to do together, oh, I probably was a bit too fast. We're going to do something where we're going to quote customers. So the fields we're going to need is the quote. We're going to need the name of the person and the image of the author. And I'm going to show you some very neat tricks just to make life easier. So back to here. Let's go into the admin section and let's go to managing content types. This is kind of always the first step you need to do. You have to say it's a new content type. And let's call this FAQ. Wait, it's not FAQ. I completely forgot. Customer quotes. Quotes of customers. Nothing very exciting here. So let's create a few fields. And let's first of all say we want the quote, of course, which is the main thing. Then we would like to add the author. This is a person, so it's also just a text information. Nothing that we want to change here. Add that. And let's add the photo. And this is not a string, this is a file. So far, pretty simple. It's not good enough yet, but I'll show you the rest in a moment. Okay? So now you've already said which fields a quote has. So let's go in and you'll see so far I only have one single template configured. So let's just make a new one and say this is the quotes. It's a token template just to keep things simple. We'll put it in the portal file system and we'll create a new file and just call this quotes.html, and we're going to use customer quotes as a data type. We have no records yet, so we can't create a demo content, but let's just do that quickly. Now, you may ask yourself, how do I add data before I have something to show it? And that's pretty simple. In here, we can always go and actually edit the records for this entity type. So let's just quickly make a demo quote. We love 2SexyContent. The author is Daniel Metler. And we're not going to add a photo yet. We're going to add this record. This UI isn't totally neat. This is for admins only. So let's go back to manage thing and let's just say, okay, the quotes here, we want the demo record we just created. The demo record makes life much easier for your authors because when they add your template, it's going to look like something already. And it's not just going to be, please add data. So you'll notice now our content type we added now is customer quotes. It's available. We're going to choose this. And we are going to choose this template. And you'll notice it's not going to show anything yet. Extremely not exciting because it's just a blank template without any placeholders. So let's modify that. Let's click on Edit Template. Now, you may not have that button in your menu. If you don't have it, that means you have reduced rights. Get them. Otherwise, let's just continue. So let's say we want content quote as outputted here. Let's make that strong. And let's put a paragraph around it. I mean, this is no magic here. I'm sure you've all seen this kind of stuff. And let's add the author. Now, in case you don't know which placeholders to use, they're listed down here. Okay, so you can't do a whole lot of wrong things here. So it's pretty neat. You'll find these here. And let's just also add a content toolbar. So let's put this entire thing inside a div. I'll explain the reason for that in a moment. And let's add the content toolbar here and update the template. And what we should see now is, we should see the demo data, which I just entered, presented in this HTML structure, including the toolbar button, which just appeared right here. So, very, very simple. Now, didn't look too difficult, right? I'm just going to show you a few more magic tricks to get things going. First of all, these are one-line fields, and the photo will go to a folder which has all the data in it. You probably don't want that. I'm sorry about the wiggling of the camera. No. That's not really the way we want it. I would like all the photos to be in this FAQ authors folder, and we're going to do a few more configurations on the content type. So, let's go back into the admin and go to managing the content types, customer quotes. I'm going to design this a little more just to make it more friendly. First of all, let's say that the quote could be multi-line. Now, this is not something you will find in the general settings, but in the general settings, we can add things like put the quote here. This will create a little info button like this one to show more information. Okay, no magic here. We can also specify that it's required. Doesn't make much sense not to make it required. And we're not going to add a default value, otherwise it's always going to have something in it, and the required isn't going to help. So that's the configuration of the quote. Let me just see, did I press that? Yes, it's doing something in the background. Just give it a moment. Then, it's kind of taken long. Okay, something died here. Let's just quickly recover that. Okay, you won't notice a whole lot yet, but I assume that setting got changed. Let's go back to the customer quotes, design it, and let's just quickly look whether my settings were saved. I hope so. Yep, it got them. Okay. Now, let's also say that the quote could be multi-line. Now, there's a little problem here. If I do that, then, well, you know, tokens can't replace enters with BRs. So we're just going to leave this for now, and we're not going to change it. But you see, if it's a text field, it has these settings. So I can choose a few things to make things nice. What we're also going to do now is we're going to change the file, which is called photo, and in the file settings, we are going to say that this is not a document, it's an image, and let me just see, did I call that author or authors? FAQ authors. So the folder's FAQ authors, and this should make sure that if I upload a picture, it has to be in that folder or in a subfolder. This makes things way more organized because you'll have all the product pictures in one folder or in subfolders. You'll have all your employee pictures in one folder. So let's just give it a try. Okay, quote, 2SexyContent rocks. The author, let's say this was Benjamin, and not Franklin, but he's the guy who makes the EAV. And let's see the photo. Okay, something's wrong here with the folder. It didn't quite find it. Let me just quickly look into that. Just a second, I'll just pause the video. All right, already back. That didn't take long. The reason's pretty simple. We always configure our .NET nukes to put real content in a extra folder called content. The reason is we don't want our customers to have to fight with all these folders called templates and cache and all that stuff. So to hide that, we create a folder called content, and so the FAQ authors was one folder deeper. So that's fixed now. So if I go into here, I am automatically in this folder. I can only upload inside this folder and nowhere else, and that makes life much, much more elegant. So let's just upload something. I hope I have no embarrassing pictures. This is always really good for demos, otherwise I'm going to have to cut it out. Let's see if I have anything in here. Okay, let's just say here's a, by the way, 10 megabytes upload limit. Always increase the standard. The standard's only 1 megabyte. That usually doesn't work. Okay, so I've inserted this stuff, and I will save it, and that's it. 2SexyContent works. And if we want to, let's just modify the template to add his picture, just to make things a bit nicer. And to round it all off, let's add a BR. So now we will see the quote, the author, and I mean, I'm not really going for a really sexy design here. That's going to be your issue. Source is going to be content photo. I believe that's what it was called. Yes. And let's just say width is 200, height is 200, and mode is crop. That's it. Let's see what happens. Well, that's it. We have everything included with this content type. So you saw how easy it is to make content types, and you saw the settings that I made just to make it easier for the content editor to make things better and to make the product better. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you learned a lot. Give it a try, and do test all those things you can do with the content types, because they're really great and they make life so much easier for your customers. Thank you for watching. This was Daniel Mettler from 2SEC Internet Solutions for 2SexyContent.